ladies. Hey, it's Kate. Just coming live to you on a Friday afternoon. I wanted to do a little PSA about midlife female weight gain because it's such a huge topic for so many women, really challenging, and there are a lot of predatory marketing practices out there for both fitness plans, supplements, hormones, you name it, that are really like picking and preying on women's insecurities, fears, and just maybe not feeling like themselves. So for a lot of us, when we start getting into our 40s, we start to experience some changes in our bodies and hormonal fluctuations. For some people, that starts pretty early. Like I was right around 39 where I started experiencing some of those little blips on the radar and funny little changes that just kind of amplified over the next 3 years and then bring me to where I am today. A lot of other women won't experience any of these changes until they're 45 or even their late 40s. But at some point, women will experience some bodily changes and physiological changes as their hormones fluctuate and then flatline, because that's kind of the nature of what happens to us. Doesn't mean we have to lay down and take it and just surrender and say this is natural and it's just supposed to happen. There are things that we can do to help ourselves feel better through this, yes, natural process, but there are things we can do. So that's the background on why I felt like doing this PSA and why it was important enough for me to get on a live, which is not my favorite thing to do. First of all, it's complicated. A lot of the products and fear-mongering kind of predatory practices that are out there prey on a fear or a doubt or something like that, and they say it's all because of cortisol, it's all because of this, it's all because of that, and if you just do this one thing, then you will magically not have belly fat anymore. You will magically not have all these issues. But the truth of it is it's really a complicated thing. And no one knows, for all the research that's been done, and there still needs to be a lot more research done, let's be super clear on that one. For all the research that has been done, there's not a conclusive sort of reason why women gain weight in midlife. There's multiple factors. So really I want to express here that it's multifactorial. It has to do with hormones. It has to do with lifestyle change. It has to do with aging, because the hormone change is kind of really a crossroads in our life where we're aging. Our bodies the cellular turnover is not so great anymore. It's pretty individual. Just like, if you talk to a group of women, the way that they eat is different. What works for them is different. What, diet they went on, how effective it was or wasn't, has a lot to do with their own individual physiology, their own hormone makeup and genetics, their own lifestyle. There are so many different parts and pieces that go into that. Or if you think of just on the hormone end of things, how different women's periods are, or how different the experience of having your monthly cycle is when you're a little bit younger. For some people, it's like, oh, well, I have my period, no big deal. And for other people, it's completely devastating. So you can imagine that if that's true just for periods and cycles, then that could also be true for hormonal changes in the way that it impacts each one of our bodies. So it's individual, it's multifactorial, it's not just one particular thing or something else. And we want to think that it's correlation between many different things rather than directly caused by one individual thing, because there is a lot of talk out there that, and again, predatory practices, that it's your hormones are making you gain weight, your hormones are doing all this. Where really it has to do with a lot of things, including lifestyle changes. We may have just not been moving as much over the past 5 to 10 years and we didn't realize it. We may have not changed the way that we were eating, and maybe we had a restrictive diet habit, where we ate as little as possible, and and then sometimes binged at the end of the day as being an example. There are so many different parts and pieces. It might be that your sleep is disrupted. And really that's what we're going to talk about real quick next, is the factors. So it is multifactorial. There's more than one cause for female midlife weight gain. And factors include, and generally these are some pretty strong indicators here, changes in level of activity. You're just not getting the number of steps that you were getting. A lot of times women are, at this point in life, we are squeezed for time. We are squeezed for that ability to do things to take care of ourselves. We have demanding professional lives. We have personal lives that we're really in the thick of raising kids and doing other things. And even if you don't have kids, you're in the thick of a whole bunch of other things. And it's just a time of more intense pressure and demand in your 40s and beyond. And so really, we just might have been neglecting that we're not working out as much, we're not working out as intensely, we're not walking as much, we're maybe doing a lot of convenience things, and I'm not picking on anyone here, like ordering groceries instead of going to the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store, you're moving a whole lot more, and you just intrinsically have more steps happening. Parking at the far end of the lot is such a cliche, but it's just another way that you can add more steps and movement into your day. But the loss or change in level of activity can really dramatically impact your overall, energy consumption and how you're using the calories that you're taking in. And it can make it so that all of a sudden you're still taking in the same number of calories, but your movement has dropped off, so the caloric demand is lower, which means things go into storage. Next up is change in sleep and having sleep disturbances. As we do go through the hormonal transitions in our 40s and slightly beyond, a lot of times it disrupts our sleep. Sometimes that's just, the fluctuation or craziness that's happening with the estrogen and progesterone that makes it more difficult to sleep. We wake more easily, we stay awake in the middle of the night. And sometimes that can be something that's due to things like having hot flashes, where you slept, you got to sleep okay, and then this hot flash woke you up, you're like covered in sweat, then you have to change, then you're shivering, and then you're wide awake. These things are more hormonally kind of correlated or driven. And so treating the hormonal nature of that, as well as cleaning up sleep hygiene and routines going to bed, and having better, more reliable sleep patterns as much as you can. Like I said, it's a demanding part of life. We have lots of kids, we have lots of people depending on us, responsibilities, work demands. It's not always easy to have that nice bedtime routine and go to bed at the same time every night so that you get the most restful sleep you can. But it is to your advantage and benefit if you can work at it and work to make some improvements there. One of those improvements can be getting hormonal therapy, because that's going to help you have fewer hot flashes, which potentially could make it so that you can sleep a little bit better. And again, having a little bit more progesterone on board, if that is something that maybe is lacking, can also add to the quality of your sleep as well. When we're not getting enough sleep, we want to eat comfort foods the next day. We're just driven to do it. No matter how great your willpower is, you're going to be more drawn to comfort carbs, sugars, fatty things that just feel good. And a lot of times our hunger and satiety hormones are off as well when we don't get enough sleep. So you can imagine that if you're having a lot of hot flashes at night or sleep disturbances, you're having a hard time getting decent sleep or several hours of sleep at a time, that can influence your eating patterns the next day, and also knowing when you're full or just feeling really, really, really hungry all the time. And so that cumulatively over time could be also contributing to some weight gain. Like I mentioned, change in hormone levels. Once your progesterone starts to fluctuate and then drop off, it does make it harder to sleep. So that can be something that can be addressed with some hormonal therapy, if that is a route that you choose. Or there are a lot of other adaptogens and supplements that can be helpful for getting a little bit more rest and kind of bringing some of those stress hormones down a bit. And then also change in lean muscle mass. Starting in our 30s, we start to lose our muscle mass, and that just starts to accelerate through perimenopause if we are not lifting weights and doing things to mitigate that skeletal muscle mass loss. So when we start to lose that muscle mass, we start to have less, we have a lower basal metabolic rate. We don't have as much muscle to feed in the body, so we don't need as much energy to perform the same daily tasks of living as we did when maybe we had a little bit more muscle. Over a couple of years, it's not that significant a difference, but it can really add up. So if you imagine in your early 30s, you did a lot of cardio, but you weren't lifting a lot of weights, and then you entered your 40s, and then you started having hormone fluctuations, and that contributing in there, maybe some sleep disturbances, you're still not lifting weights enough, you're losing a lot of muscle mass. And then if you haven't changed your eating habits, and I swear one of the biggest things I hear women say, and I'm not picking at anyone at all, is that I haven't done anything different. I didn't change the way I eat, I didn't change the way I exercise, and yet I'm gaining weight. Well, we can start looking at a lot of these factors as being contributing to that or correlating to that weight gain. Because if we're not attending to managing and maintaining that lean muscle mass, we suddenly have a basal metabolic rate that's maybe a bit lower. We just don't have as much body to fuel. And if we haven't changed the way that we're eating, then we might be exceeding our intake needs and it might be going to storage. So AKA fat gain, weight gain in the midlife. So all in all, helpful actions you can take. You can address your sleep issues. That is probably the number one thing to do. It's probably also the number one least favorite, least fun thing to do. It's way more fun to just go exercise or figure out a new menu plan or something. But this is the one that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. So if you're having hot flashes, I would highly recommend that you talk to a menopause specialist and talk to them about what sort of things you can do to help alleviate the hot flashes, because not only is it disturbing your sleep, it's potentially setting you up for some cardiovascular health issues later on in life. So it's not just something to be suffered through, it's something that we really can address through hormonal and now non-hormonal treatments. And I would say number one, if you're having hot flashes, go there first. It's going to be really, really important to your overall health and well-being. After that, sleep hygiene. Turn off your blue lights, get off your screens at least an hour before you go to bed. Have some calming practices and routines, whatever it is that works for you. I'm not saying go light candles and sit in your bathtub every night, because that's super impractical for the majority of us. But things where you can start to unwind, you can start to decompress a little bit. I tell all my clients I read fluffy fiction. I don't read anything stressful. It is very fictional, out there, easy reading, and it helps wind me down, and then I tend to sleep a lot better. And these are all practices I've had to work on myself over the last 5 years and found extremely beneficial. So I'm not preaching at the choir. I'm not just preaching from on high. I practice what I preach here. Sleep issues, hygiene, track your steps. It may be that you are literally not getting as much movement during the day as you think you are. And while 10,000 steps is sort of out there as this arbitrary golden standard, it's not necessarily. It's better to figure out how many steps you're taking right now and then see if you can increase that by 500 a day, maybe 1,000 a day. And then once you have that normalized in your life, then increase it a little bit more. Try and strive to get to 6, 7 if you're not anywhere near there yet. Again, you don't have to do it all at once. Just see if you can start sneaking in little bits and pieces where you can just start moving a little bit more during the day, taking some breaks from your desk. If you have a desk job, get up, walk around, go do something. I have dogs. That gives me another 3,000 steps a day. I'm grateful for that. Eat breakfast. A lot of times women, we've just gotten in this pattern, especially if you're anywhere around my age, where not eating breakfast was a thing. I'll just have coffee, I'll make it till lunch, and then I'll do it because we're all supposed to fast, right? We don't have time to go there right now, but that is not advantageous for us. A lot of times if we don't eat the breakfast and then we're kind of sort of having lunch, then we're really hungry by the time we get home, and we might have dinner and then snack right before until we go to bed. Most of that is really not helpful for our blood sugar, our energy levels, and most of the time when we're doing the snacking, it's not like we're going in the kitchen for broccoli. So you need to set yourself up for success, and I did say need, I really did, by eating breakfast. Eating something that has hopefully about 25 grams of protein in it, has some fiber in it, some fat in it, something that's going to hold you through your morning and help you have more even-keeled energy. I still drink plenty of coffee. I'm not saying don't drink your coffee if you enjoy it and you don't have negative impacts from it, but definitely eat breakfast. Even if you eat half your breakfast early in the morning and half your breakfast a little bit later because you're too full to eat the whole thing, eat your breakfast. You are setting yourself up for better blood sugar throughout the rest of the day, better eating patterns. It's large. you have to work really damn hard to get large, and actually there are a lot of us out there who are working really damn hard and not accomplishing the large that we're chasing. Lifting weights does not equal being large. It equals being strong. It equals being capable. It equals having better bone density, which matters because if you get into your 60s and you have a fall and then you fracture your hip, your chances of living independently after that are significantly lower, and your chances of dying are significantly higher. And while it's like, oh, my 60s, well, I'm about to be 50, and that's not that far away from me right now. So it's starting to like come home. Even if you're in your 40s, your 60s are, I hate to say it, not that far away anymore. So it's important for you to invest in your overall health and well-being right now. You need to lift weights. You're going to make muscle mass, so you're going to burn more calories at rest. Not immediately. You have to make the muscle mass first, but as you keep doing that, you're going to have a more metabolically active body. You're also going to have a body, if you want to talk about aesthetics, that appears slimmer, that appears more shapely or toned or whatever the words are you want to use. So if I got to like hook you in on the aesthetics thing, I will totally do it. But it also helps with cognitive function, mood regulation, confidence, independence. I mean, like, there aren't enough good things that can be said about lifting weights. So if you're not lifting weights and you're somewhere in your 40s or beyond, you need to lift weights. You need to. Twice a week. If you don't know how, you need to contact a fitness professional who's good at teaching people how to lift weights. I would happen to be one of those people, but there are a lot of us around, and especially people who work with women over 40 and kind of understand the physiological and lifestyle demands and how to work within those demands to get the best outcome. Move with intensity. The days of like the long endurance cardio being like your every workout, like 45 minutes of just grinding away on the treadmill, the step mill, or the elliptical, if you really super enjoy it, do it once, but you need to move with intensity. We need to add a little bit more oomph to our workouts. We're talking about plyometrics, we're talking about sprint interval training, we're talking about high intensity interval training, but things that make you really super huff and puff, that are unsustainable for long periods of time. We need that sort of oomph, and that's also going to help how we use our calories and use our blood sugar in a way that's beneficial to our bodies instead of it going into storage. All right, and then last but not least here of the helpful actions you can take is consulting with a menopause specialist, like a hormone specialist. A lot of, and I have very strong feelings here, and I'll try to stay in my lane. A lot of primary care physicians and general practitioners are not knowledgeable enough to help you through your perimenopause transition in terms of knowing how to help you with your hormones and how to mitigate some of the unpleasant symptoms that you might be experiencing. And like I said before, female weight gain, correlation, not causation. Your hormones are not causing your weight gain per se, but they're probably influencing some of these other factors that are making it easier for you to gain weight. And when I say weight, I mean fat, body fat, more quickly than you did in the past. And so if we want to get to the root of a lot of things and really go back to the source of where some of these changes have come from between your experience of life in your body in your 30s and your experience of life in your body at 40s, it is the basis of the hormonal changes that are happening. So talk to a menopause specialist. If you don't have one, in person near you where you live, you can contact MIDI, you can contact Genev. They are both very trustworthy, helpful companies that have menopause specialists that you can meet with online and get really good advice from, good care from. You don't have to see someone in person to take care of that. Advocate for yourself. If you know your body doesn't feel the way that you would like it to feel, and you want to make some positive changes, maybe you've already tried some of these things, but it's just not working for you, definitely talk to a menopause specialist. If you need more help in like the fitness area to get more coaching, get more guidance, to get some programs written for you, to have in-person sessions, then definitely contact a fitness professional who has more of a menopause training and background so that they can give you what you need specifically for you, keep you out of the woods with crazy diets and stupid approaches that maybe work for some people, work for men, work for very young women, but aren't going to work for you right now at this point in your life, aren't going to be helpful to your health or well-being. It might just, be more frustrating and actually have poor results from those practices. So, long story short, female weight gain is complicated. Some people gain a lot here, some people go all the way around, some people just go bigger all together. For some people it's sudden, for some people it's gradual, but they just didn't notice for a while. It's multifactorial, it's hormones, it's lifestyle, it is the way that you eat, it's how much you move, it's how much you work out, if you've been lifting weights for a long time. There are a lot of other things as well, those are just some of them. It's very individual. What's happening to your sister, your cousin, your best friend, your coworker is not necessarily what's happening for you or to you, and so their solutions might not be your solutions. You can't gauge how you're doing against how they're doing. So remember, it's what's happening to you. Think correlation, not causation, okay? Hormones are not causing your weight gain per se, but they are also correlated to a lot of the changes that are probably lending to that, aside from just being busy and having demanding lives and roles in our 40s and beyond. So, all in all, things you can do. Address your sleep, whether that's with hormones or just sleep hygiene. I have lots of resources. If you want to DM me, if you have any questions about any resources, I have some lovely, wonderful people I can hook you up with, or just websites I can send you to so you can get more information about how to address sleep hygiene issues. Track your steps. Increase your NEAT, your non-exercise activity. Means moving around, the stuff that you just do during the day that counts more than your workouts towards burning calories and maintaining a higher metabolic rate. Eat breakfast. Don't skip it. Coffee's not breakfast. There's no need to do a 16-hour fast. It's not in your best interest. Eat your breakfast. Okay? Lift weights. Make sure you lift weights at least twice a week. 3's better. But twice a week, if you don't know how to lift weights, contact somebody who can help you learn. Don't be afraid of weights. They're not going to make you explode into the Hulk. Trust me, I would be a lot more muscular if that were actually true. And then consult with a menopause specialist. If you're really struggling and you're having a lot of other symptoms, and we have not talked about perimenopausal symptoms besides just a couple of brief things here, really contact somebody at MIDI, contact somebody at Genev, or if you want to DM me, I will send you a list of resources so that you can help yourself out through this transitional time. So that's it. Thanks for coming to my live TED Talk on a Friday. And I hope that some of this information was helpful and maybe gave you some ideas about where you can start to help yourself out and also take yourself off the hook and, not take yourself off the hook, but put you back into a place of empowerment and not feeling like your body's just running away with you and this is just the way things are going to be. You have a lot of choices and a lot of different areas of your life you can make some impact in and not suffer and actually and really feel good and maintain quality health and feel good in your body through your 40s and beyond.